I'm Vegas Runner here with the Philly Godfather, finally on video. This is a treat for everyone watching us out there. This is something that years ago was unheard of, to actually get a real wise guy, a guy who beats the numbers, who's been doing it for a long time, to be willing to talk to us. Fortunately, I grew up around the right neighborhood and with the right guys, and here with Philly Godfather, knew him for a really long time. Going to get across how we met and how we actually started working together. I worked under him for a long time. It started with, as I've said before, no secret, I took book for a while, and growing up in the same neighborhood, took a lot of action from friends. Philly Godfather approached and said, I want to put some action in. I'm thinking he just wants to bet Eagles games on weekend. He wasn't a gambler, was not a gambler at all. I knew he was good for money. That was for one thing for sure, but he wasn't a gambler. So I said, all right, guy probably just wants to bet Eagles games here and there. All of a sudden, he asked for a dime a game. All right, I'll give you a dime a game because the money's good. And next, one thing after another, make a long story short, week after week, I had to meet up and pay him. And I remember one week when he said, how'd the week go for you? I said, good, if I didn't have to pay you. It's been like that for a while now. And he said, I'm going to break it down to you. I'm not going to lose it back to you. So I said, like, explain, what do you mean you're not going to lose it back? And fortunately, we were good friends growing up together, and he didn't hide from me the fact of exactly what he was doing, the contacts he had, and the fact that he was moving money for some of the sharpest guys in the industry. So that was a long time ago, brother.
I kind of coined the phrase, I don't lose.
Yeah, and not only did you coin it, but it was true. Back then, you guys did not lose.
There was weeks we would go 10-0, 12-2, 13-1, and at a dime a game, the money adds up.
It really does, bro.
It really hurts the bookmaker. And the smart ones would follow our games and put some money on top for themselves, and the stupid ones would just drop us.
Yeah, I remember. Guys just, after that, I remember there was more profit in betting these games that Steve had access to than actually booking. And more guys wanted to bet for these guys than book. It was a lot safer too.
Well, after we demolished their book, they all ended up working for us.
More or less, exactly, or not paying you.
Exactly.
When you got to worry about the bookmaker paying you,
there's a problem.
And that was happening because the information was so strong back then. More importantly, everyone was chasing the same dime. Those games were trickling down. You were fortunate enough, you were sitting right there next to the visionaries of the industry, the guys that got the moves first.
Exactly.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, those guys would get the number, they would feed it to us, and we had about 3-4 minutes before the line moved, sometimes even less, and we would just bury the game. Game would open up 1, we'd bet it, the game would be 3, 4 by the time the squares got to it.
So the key then was strictly unloading as much as you could at the number these guys gave it.
Yeah.
So in other words, you'd answer the phone and you'd have somebody telling you, I want Dallas -3. And your job was to get down as much Dallas -3.
It was chaos in the office. Everyone would just be on the phone, speed dialing, calling left and right, and getting as much money down on the game as you could.
And then what would happen was word would get out. These guys are on Dallas -3. But by that time, the game would go to 4, 4.5, 5, 6.
It's too late.
Back then.
Yeah.
And you were able to get it nice and early first.
Before the lines moved.
I witnessed that, and I will 100% attest to the fact that, fortunately, like I said, I worked under his outfit, and that's exactly how it went down. I mean, we were beating the number. I could go out, smoke a cigarette, come back in, and we'd still be able to beat the number. That's how soon you were getting the games.
Yeah, we were getting the games first. We were first in the country, first in the world. I mean, there was no one better than us.
And that came strictly because of the amount of money you were taking from whoever was giving you these games.
We were turning in so much money for them that they called us first.
And back then, we all know some of the guys that were coming out with these games.
Yeah.
The legend of the game. Baseball, Kosher Kids.
Kosher Kids.
Football, Billy Waters. It's no secret, back then. Those are the names that everybody to this day still hears about, still respects.
Exactly.
And because of the fact the outfit you were working for was giving so much money for them.
Plus,
on
they were,
them games.
our outfit was there in the beginning when it all started. So they were tied in together, and it was such a small circle that everyone trusted each other, everyone knew each other. They were working together for a little bit. So that's what kind of helped it all blow up.
There you have it. Vegas Runner and Philly Godfather. I remember after a while, it was hard to get down. I mean, bookmakers didn't want to take any Wiseguy action. I remember us driving to different states. You flying to different states.
We started with Philly, then we went to New York. We flew out to Boston, Jersey, Delaware. I mean, wherever we could find bookmakers. We even went to Canada.
And if I remember right, we were offering guys money to solicit bookmakers.
20% with a work off.
Yeah.
That's how much we won. That's
So-
how much we were so
So
sure.
the Wiseguys winning percentage back then was so high that we could afford to give 20% to anyone who was just able to hook us up with a bookmaker.
Well, let's explain what the work off is. If we win 10 dimes that week, you were guaranteed $2,000 risk-free just for betting the games for us.
And if you lost 10,000,
Then you would just have to win another 10 back, so nothing ever came out of your pocket, and then you would start getting paid again.
so that's why there were so many guys out there looking for bookmakers.
Oh my God. I mean, I started with you and one other guy, and within a few months, we had like 30, 40 guys
I
moving
remember.
for us.
I remember.
We had
I
those
remember.
stat sheets, and we had all those names at the top, and we were just writing and writing.
And back then, because the winning percentage was so high, you just wanted to get down as much money as possible.
As much as you could, as fast as you could, with as many people as you can.
That's
It was, I mean, it was out of control.
Then came the internet, and things started to change.
Yeah, well, all the information was readily available to more people. So that kind of lowered the value of the true positions on the games, and it kind of hurt us a little bit, slowed us down a little bit, but we never stopped.
No. And I remember for a short time, people started going off on their own because of the fact now you could get down so much easier, so much quicker, where you don't have, you could see that the line's moving, and now you don't have to give a wise guy 10 dimes to get that play, because now you see it move on your screen, and there's so many outs because of the internet
Exactly.
that you could get down. And guys started going off in their own directions.
Well-
You went off on your own. Everybody more or less went off on their own. You came out here, if I remember, and hit a 10-team parlay with nobody else's information but your own.
Exactly, and how many people have actually done that?
Very few. And the funny thing is, I was there for that. It paid $8.50 to 1 at the Stardust, and to this day, he yells at me. He was going to put $100 on this, and if I'm not mistaken. And
I pulled
was
out a
like,
$100 bill, and Johnny grabbed it, and he said, "No one bets $100 on a 10-team."
Yeah, guys are filling out $5 10-team parlays. I said, are you crazy?
And then I reached into my pocket, and the next bill I pulled out was a $50 bill, and I kind of turned my shoulder so he couldn't grab it.
I remember.
And I put $50 on it.
And the beauty of it, how sharp, even back then, I remember it came down to a late Sunday night football game, and the line had moved maybe 2 or 3 points, and he knew he was getting the best of the number, and yet still there was a small hedge opportunity, and all he spent time trying to figure out, did I get the best of the number, and is it worth me even hedging? I mean, you weren't even looking at it like it was luck. It was just business. It wasn't even a gamble.
It was strictly business.
What could I lock in? And that pretty much, that changed the game for a while. The internet, people going offshore. A lot of guys went down to Costa Rica and other of those.
Dominican Republic.
Exactly, all over the place offshore. Now it seems like guys are working together again.
Well, it's getting harder. I mean, it's what we realized is we need as many sharp people around us as possible, because the lines have gotten tighter, information's all out there. So, I mean, we got to put our minds together now just to get down and beat the number more often.
And it's a beautiful thing, because after having a weekend to hang with you and the now infamous Rooster,
The Rooster.
Hearing that all these people from back then are getting together, working together again,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great thing. And like you said, the edge isn't as great, but when you have that many sharp minds working for the same goal, it's still a beatable market.
And the great thing is everyone knows what information has value, and there's a lot of information that looks nice, but there's no value to it. So we cherry pick the information, and we look for the most valuable information, and that's what we go on.
And still beating the market today. Beating it when I first took his first bet, and he's still beating it today. I witnessed it over the weekend, and you can follow Philly Godfather on Twitter. That's twitter.com/Philly Godfather. You're giving away a lot of information.
Yeah, I give out a lot of history, a lot of information. I make it very entertaining.
Love it. We're going to do a couple more videos today, giving out a little detail about the inner workings of these betting syndicates we talked about. So we'll be back with that. I'm Vegas Runner here with the Philly Godfather. Have a great day.